Welcome back to Beautiful Work, Beautiful Life. We are here talking about inner life and the beautiful life that we all want to create for ourselves because I believe that we do. And if you're on a journey and you say, I don't know about that, I'm not sure that I really want a beautiful life, then I would challenge you to say, well, what other adjective would you use to describe the life you want? Because we chose beautiful because it's kind of a universal topic, Laurel, but do you think that there's probably lots of other adjectives, aren't there?
It's funny that you asked that. I've been thinking about that a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
Um, Fulfilling comes to mind.
Hmm.
I think that's the word I would use.
Yeah. Meaningful comes to mind for
Yes.
me. Um, Adventurous for some people. No,
Yes.
I mean, so I think it's choose your word and then go for it. And there's going to be some inner work that's going to be required to get there. I can guarantee you that.
I agree completely. There might even be some inner work in finding your word, right?
Bravo, Laurel. Yes. Yes, indeed. Yeah. So here we are to talk about all those kinds of juicy details. And Laurel and I are both life coaches. If you're here and you're kind of new to us, this is our fourth season. And we've entitled our fourth season Tales from a Beautiful Life because we're going to be interviewing people this season who are living a beautiful life and have done a lot of inner work. And we want to hear other voices and other stories. And gosh, it's just been a delight to get going on that process, hasn't it, Laurel?
It has. And to bring guests forward who have done inner work, and have created a beautiful life. Like I love, having that glimpse in other people's lives. I mean, you know me. I love people. I love history, culture, sociology. I'd like to think about what makes people tick,
Yeah.
right? What gives us joy, what sparks us, and what we look at as beautiful and what we want, even if we don't have it yet, right?
Yeah. I always think about when I was taking my speaker training with Data and Rachel Groover. And Data is really great. He's just a great speaker and storyteller. And he would talk about how people love to hear a story about your life. They like to know the details. They want to be moved emotionally. People want to be eavesdropping on other people's conversations. I mean, this is a reality of just being a human in the world, and it's okay. The goal here is that we want to share it more openly and do it in a way where, we're really honoring people's stories, right? And honoring the work itself, but also giving voice to those people that have courageously stepped forward and done some of this beautiful work that we talk about and have the ability to share it and talk about the importance of it and how it's really reaped beautiful results in their lives. So honored that we get to be a part of that with people. Yeah.
I am too. And when I think about you use the word eavesdropping,
Yeah.
like when I think about eavesdropping, it's when someone doesn't know perhaps that we're listening or looking, right?
Yeah.
That lurking behind the scenes. But what I
Yeah.
love about introducing our listeners to the guests that we are going to bring in this fourth season, it's really, we all need mentors. We all need role models. We need to normalize, the inner work. We
Yeah.
need to normalize our desire to have a beautiful life or have more in our
Mhm.
life, right? I mean, so I think about this. These are real world examples. And what I really am excited about is that none of them are world famous or rich or right. They
Yeah.
are not celebrities.
Right.
They're everyday people like you and I
Yeah.
and like our listeners.
Making a difference in the world around them, doing like that ripple out effect that we talk about when you do your work, you are affecting other people. You don't have to be Oprah Winfrey or
Mother Teresa.
Mother Teresa, that's right, or Gandhi, right? You can
That's right.
just be who you are and still make that beautiful impact. So
Yeah.
we're celebrating all these people. And here we are. We have already interviewed one another and we had such a lovely experience doing that, Laurel.
Mm.
I hope everybody enjoyed those two interviews. They're out now. And if you haven't heard them, they're both right here before this episode. So the 2 weeks before this episode, just tune right in and you can hear Laurel and I interviewing each other about our own inner work. And today is our day to just talk a little bit about what came from those interviews, right? So we'll be doing this each month. We'll have one conversation where Laurel and I come back. Like we love to talk to one another about inner work, and we're going to just talk a little bit about that. So we felt like the subject, the topic that really emerged from our each of our interviews collectively was this idea of having the confidence to be yourself.
Mm. That it came through loud and clear for me as a theme
Yeah.
because without that confidence, we don't dare to pursue a beautiful life, right?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
we may not feel deserving without that confidence.
I know. And I was thinking about the word confident, right? And confidence and confide, and thinking about it as our theme today. Uh, and thinking about, when you're confiding, right, in someone, you're telling them something important and true. And I don't know, maybe a little vulnerable, or I don't know what the right words are. There's so many words here that we could be using, right? But you're telling somebody, you're confiding in confidence,
Mm.
right? In a way where it's an honor to be sharing it, and it's meant to be kept, kind of holy and
In
sacred almost,
in
right?
trust, yeah,
In
in
trust. Yeah.
trust. I
Yeah.
really feel that.
Yeah. And I was thinking, I hope that the theme that came across to everybody was, in doing that, right? We did it with each other and sharing our stories. We found places where we could do it that helped us feel it for ourselves, that self-confidence. But, the beginning of that is right. First, telling yourself that,
Oh,
confiding in yourself.
and isn't that sometimes the hardest?
It is. It is. But oh, it takes such courage, and it's so worth it.
It really, and can you imagine thinking, of ourself as a confidant, right? I
Yeah.
mean, someone that we can confide in, someone that
Yeah.
we can find trust in, right? That we
Yeah.
can share our vulnerable, all beingness, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
I
I mean,
feel
it
like
really is special.
it is special. And I feel like I almost felt like if I think back to, me sharing my story, like that moment when I was right before I turned 30, when I was standing in my kitchen and I suddenly looked around and said to myself, confided in myself, "Oh, Laurel, you're repeating patterns you said you would never do. Oh, what are you doing?" It was like that moment of confiding in myself,
Yeah.
the truth,
Yes.
right? And encouraging myself to look at it, to stay with it, to not shy away from it. Yeah.
Yes. And when I think about my story of knowing that I was meant for more, that there was more for me than what I was accepting, you
Mhm.
know, in my life. Right, the same thing. It took courage to be able to own that nothing was, and I think you used these words before too, nothing was really wrong,
Mhm.
but it wasn't what I wanted, right?
Yeah.
It and I love that a lot of my clients currently, are going through that, maybe leaving a job that it's nothing really wrong with the job, but they're wanting something more.
Yeah.
Leaving a relationship and being questioned by friends. Why are you leaving that relationship? He's a good guy or she's a good girl, right? Or good
Yeah.
woman, I shouldn't
Yeah.
say girl,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that piece of being confident to know there's something more, there's something greater meant for you for
Hmm.
your lifetime and being confident enough to pursue it is
Yeah.
huge,
It
huge.
it's so huge. And I was just thinking as I was listening to it, was almost like allowing me to tune into um that feeling, like that inner feeling. We talk about intuition a lot, and we talk a lot about how to grow your intuition, how to get in touch with it, how to honor it and stay with it and listen into it. And I do believe that, in your intuition, there's a baseline feeling of knowing there's a truth in that message that's coming through, right? And to feel that knowing feeling of truth in your body is a really important anchor to develop, right? That confidence to just be yourself, to honor yourself, to keep going forward and trusting yourself more and more. And how do we just keep practicing that, right? Practice, 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 and tuning in more and more to the subtleties of that feeling. Because I do think there's a lot of subtleties in the feeling of your inner knowing, your baseline intuition, don't you, Laurel?
Yes, I do. And I don't even know how to express or describe it in words, right?
I know I was kind
When,
of fumbling there trying.
right?
It
No,
was
you
amazing.
did a great job, Laurel. You did a
Oh,
great job.
thank you. I tried.
Um, I, you know, it's almost undescribable until you experience it for yourself. And then how I practice it, I'm going to say, or um, allow space in my life for it to come through, that inner knowingness. And it's deep. It's a deep inner knowing,
Mhm.
is to recall when it has come through before and remembering how that felt and kind of gently playing out what happens next, right? Where I could trust it. How did I trust it? Without getting into the details of it's not like a recipe that first you do this and then you do this, but that I was able to trust it and seeing the gifts and the beauty that came from that, right? So it's almost as if I've got to invoke the feeling all over again of inner
Mm.
knowingness.
That's great. Yeah.
What about you? How do you
Yeah.
practice it?
Again, I was listening to you, and as I was listening to you, I was just staying present to myself and your words and attempting to notice, right? Because this is also I want to share again, like I've had a lot of practice doing what I'm talking about, what I'm going to describe to you. So at the beginning, it isn't necessarily easy to do, but you get better at it with practice. And so it's like a dual attention or being able to hold multiple facets of the experience in your attention at the same time. So I'm listening to Laurel talk about intuition and the knowingness and the depth of it, and I'm also paying attention to what's happening in my body as I'm listening. And I what happened is I almost felt like this kind of downward V, right down into my pelvis, as if it was pointing, the feeling is down here, low
Mm,
in me, right? And I could feel almost like a vibrating down low in there. And so this is how we do it, right? Is it's subtle. If you're not paying attention, you can completely ignore it. Like all those feelings that I just this pointing downward deep into my pelvis, this kind of like low vibration down there. I could easily ignore that. It is not a pain that's pounding in my head like a headache that I can't ignore, right? It's a subtle inner experience that I have to stay open to. And then when I notice it, tune into what's really happening? What's the feeling that I'm experiencing in there? And I think that that's, one of the complicated parts of it is it's not real loud. It doesn't come in necessarily like a bang to the head, it can be subtle and quiet. And at the beginning, am I really feeling that? What is really happening there? And so you have to pay attention.
yeah, and how beautiful to have learned and to practice paying attention to multiple things at once, right?
Mm.
Often we're led to believe that if we're truly present with another person, we are giving them all of our attention. But what you're describing is you're you're able to pay attention to me, the words I'm speaking, and your body. And I love that it comes through really loud and clear for me after, my neuroscience of change coaching course and embodied self-awareness, right? Embodied self-awareness is being aware of where something is in your body, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Of what your body is sensing at the same time as experiencing maybe an outer or outside circumstance.
Yeah, it's, I guess how I might use it as like almost an analogy is I can look at you and listen to you, use both of those senses really easily without thinking I'm doing two things at once,
Right.
right?
Absolutely.
And I
Yeah.
am doing two things at once. I am listening to you and I am looking at you. And so this other sense is almost just additional.
Mm, I love that. You just made it, one of the sixth senses, right?
Yes,
Right.
yes.
It's so
Yeah,
beautiful. So when we think about being confident to be who you are,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
How have you used all of your senses
Mm.
in stepping into your being confident, stepping into confidence, acting in
Yeah.
confidence?
Yeah, you know what comes up for me instead of the I think the senses part, the first thing that came into mind is my meditation. Like in my meditation, using my sensory experience to help me quiet my mind and sit
Mm,
still for a while. Like that's probably the number one experience, right? Of when I say, how did your senses impact your ability to to develop confidence to be you, right? It helped me tune in completely to me, right? So there's that aspect. But I think the thing that comes up more strongly is, we've often talked about these different aspects of intelligence in your body. And I write about this a lot in the Live Your Inner Power journey and in my Courageous Woman book, that you have these four levels of five levels of intelligence, more than four, but four that have to do with your human experience, this physical body. So you have your physical experience. So tuning into that, and just like we talked about, like when I was listening to what was happening in my physical body, just noticing my physical intelligence and what it was trying to share with me in that moment, right? Then there's the emotional intelligence. So for me that was one of the biggest parts of my journey. It was coming to terms with my deep sadness, reconciling that, uh, noticing the ways that didn't feel empowered in my life and learning how to turn that around so that I could, start to develop some strength in stepping forward and being who I really am. Uh, Being comfortable with joy. I don't think I was even comfortable being joyful in my really young age. It was like stepping out of the comfort zone that I kind of lived in, and growing up. So it's like there's a whole emotional and really being able to talk about my emotions comfortably and know what they are, right? And then the whole mental journey, like being able to watch my mind, watch how my mind likes to work, watch the things it thinks about, not judging it for what it does. It's a tool. I got to direct it and use it well. And then my whole spiritual experience, coming into the experience of developing my own spiritual life and what that meant to me and what I believed in and how it supported me and how it inspired me and all those good things. So kind of, I feel like my confidence story was more like about those aspects of my life and using them, understanding them, and then really employing them as tools of growth, personal growth in my life. Yeah.
it's so incredible.
Mm.
Um, I don't even know how I can really move towards those things that you talk about. I mean, I often think that in order to have confidence in what we want, we have to take care of all parts of ourselves. And you just described that
Yeah.
perfectly,
Thank you.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and so I don't know, like, what do we want to leave our listeners with when
I
in
know.
developing their confidence
Well, when
and
you think about,
confidently claiming their life?
yeah, I mean, when you think about your trajectory, what comes up, like I feel like, that was kind of my description of, what comes in for me when I think about what helped me on my journey, right? What
Yeah,
comes
and as
forth.
you were
Yeah.
speaking, I was really thinking, wow, Laurel, myself, wow, Laurel,
Laurel Boivin.
my my um my way of creating a more confident approach to what I want. I know there were internal aspects of it, but my path probably was a bigger mix of external and internal, right?
Mhm.
It it probably, I know I look to how do I create the environment that I want where I can comfortably be my whole self, right?
Mhm.
So it might look like leaving a job that no longer served me, right? Realizing, I was acting every day in conflict with my own values and the kind of life that I wanted. Um, and then creating a new environment where I'm surrounded by people who are bringing out the best in me, who make me allow me, they give me space to be completely myself,
Mhm.
right? Um, I think about this a lot with I call them my Dover girls, three very good friends that I've been friends with since we were in elementary school. And I can show up in all that I am, the good, the bad, the ugly, the messy, the confident, the bold, the insecure, the scared. I get all of it. And they welcome me in my wholeness, no matter what I have going on. So, right, changing my environment, creating the environment I want, being surrounded by people who allow me the spaciousness to be exactly who I am, right? All of that has contributed to me and my ability to be more confident in being myself.
Yeah.
Um, and then maybe the piece that did come out in, that knowing what my body needed and wanted was starting to feel the contrast, right? To feel the physical contrast of exhaustion and and then contentment. Like, ooh, that contrast. Once I started to feel the contentment, I was confident that I was on the right path, that I was really stepping into who I am.
That's so
So
great. Yeah.
it's beautiful to think about as I think about my own journey. It is ever evolving and I'm in it it's a state of being, not, not that I was this and now I'm that. Absolutely not. It's an ever changing, ever growing becomingness
Yeah. Yeah.
that as I discover more of who I am, I'm confident in my ability to show up as her.
Yeah, and to keep creating, right, that life around you that reflects that, right, in new and inspired ways. Because I do think that, look, if we said, okay, I'm going to create a life I love, and then you just live that till the rest of your days, I think people, most of us would get bored, unless we're, I don't know, 90 starting it, I don't know, but you know what I mean? Like, I do think that there's a ooh, this is what excites me now. Ooh, this is what excites me now. Ooh, this is what will be new and good or whatever. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
and I love the way you describe that, Laurel, because I think that, you know, that's a good description of how what I was actually doing. Like I talked more about the being part of it, but you
Yes.
did describe like the doing of it really well. And I was doing that along the way while I was doing those inner things too, right?
Yes.
And so I think that it's that being able to look at how one impacts the other, right? And the dance of those two things, and that they powerfully interact with each other. So if you look around your life and you go, oh, I don't like that, I don't like that, I don't like that. Well, if you're kind of an outside working in person, then get to cleaning out that room or whatever it is that
Right.
to get
Right. And
done.
I think
Yeah.
there's that piece that this is why the inner work is so available, accessible for everyone, right?
Hmm.
I mean, you just described it as, you know, I may focus on the doing. And in the doing, the inner work happens,
Yeah.
right? May have more of a focus at times in the inner, and that focus on the inner shifts the doing, right?
Yeah.
But one can't happen without the other.
Right. Right. They are impacting each other one way or
Yeah.
another. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good, good. So the confidence to be yourself. We wish everyone the confidence to be yourself. We truly
Mm,
do. We want you to find your voice. We want you to find your happiness, your beautiful life, and to go out there and do what you came here to do in this world. And we hope to help you do that. So we're just going to keep bringing you
absolutely.
more and more
That's
all
right.
season long.
And every episode, we're here to remind you that
Mm.
you are worthy of creating your beautiful life. Whatever it is you want, it is
Mm.
yours for no other reason than you want it.
Amen.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Well, another good conversation with you, Laurel.
I
Thank
know.
you.
I'm so glad we're still doing this, Laurel. I would have missed it if we weren't keeping our conversations going because I just so enjoy it. So thank you so much. And we'll be back next month for more beautiful work, beautiful life. Thanks, Laurel.
Bye.
Bye.